Hey guys, what's going on? In this video, basically, I'm just going to be talking about some upgrade performance options you can do for pretty inexpensive to get your car running pretty quick. So if you're in a Subaru WRX, this should easily be able to get you over 300 horsepower. If you're an STI, somewhere in the 340, 350 horsepower range. So I'm in a 2008 Subaru WRX, currently 315 horsepower and about 350 foot-pounds of torque. And that's with a stock turbo, stock transmission, and stock block, just with some basically bolt-ons and a tune. Now, roughly, it really just depends how much money you want to spend, because I've also added some options that help support those mods that I've put on. But with just the bare minimum, I'm just going to be talking about what mods you can do, and I'll show you some of the mods I have, and how they won't really impact the life of your vehicle, but they'll also help improve performance. Alright, so on my WRX I have the Invidia 3-inch downpipe, Invidia High-Flow Cat, and turbo back exhaust. And that whole prep package actually I got for $500 used. It was barely used, but I just found it on Craigslist, checked it out, had my mechanic check it out, slapped it on there. So 500 bucks, and that didn't really improve the horsepower too much, maybe just a tiny bit. I definitely noticed it impacted torque though. It was a little bit peppier as far as off the line, so that was definitely a notable difference. Shortly after that, I added the STI short throw shifter, put in an Exedy stage 2 clutch, which again, that's just kind of supporting some other mods with the torque and whatnot. If you like to do launches or like to drive your car hard at all, you definitely want to have a clutch that can support that. The Exedy stage 2 clutch really did a good job with that so far. Then I also have the Cobb blow-off valve, or bypass valve is what they call it. Cost you about $195 or so. And then also the Cobb SF Intake. And then the last of the main mods is the Cobb access port, which is this right here. This is the V3. And if you have all the stage 2 power components, which I have now installed, then you can load the stage 2 mod. And basically that's where you'll see most of the power adding, and that basically overrides the ECU. And so that's really when I noticed the power. So before the tune, I was at about 287, I think is what it dynoed at. And then after the tune, on 5 poles, I got anywhere from 310 to 330 in horsepower. So definitely pretty significant increases there. And then you can even go a step further, add bigger fuel injectors, a better fuel pump, and do an E85 tune, and then you'll be looking, 340, 350 plus in horsepower that way. And then also a bigger intercooler. There's lots of extra options you can do, but for just the main necessities, what I have in my car, I spent a total of about $2,500 to $3,000. And the main things were like the clutch that I just bought was 550 bucks, so that was a pain. It was a little bit more money, and if you can't install it yourself, you got to spend anywhere from 400 to 700 bucks to get that installed. So if you could do any of it yourself, it'll save you a lot of money. It's just buying the parts, and there's nothing wrong with buying used parts, minus like I wouldn't ever probably buy a used clutch or anything like that, but basically new exhaust and whatnot, that is, I had no problem doing that. Alright, so in a minute here, I'm just going to give it, do a couple pulls just so you can kind of see what we're working with here. It did get a little bit louder, obviously, with the Invidia exhaust. They have, their exhaust is pretty loud, a little bit louder than I was actually wanting, because I don't want it to be like disruptive loud, but it's got a good grumble to it at idle, definitely picks up. And also I forgot to mention with the Cobb access port, when you're on the stage 2 tune, it also ups your boost a little bit on the stock turbo. There's also some other things. Now, it's not just for tuning. I have my boost control. You can put RPMs, oil pressure, lots of other stuff on the access port, which is really, really nice. It just really depends what you want on there, but it does a lot more, serves a lot more purpose than just a tuner. So I'm just going to give it a quick pull here. It's got a pretty decent amount of power. I was actually pleasantly surprised when I first bought it, when it was basically completely stock, and when I have it now, I mean, it feels like I'm driving a whole new car performance-wise, which is really awesome. It definitely does add quite a big oomph to it. So with the Cobb intake, and then also with the Cobb bypass valve, you get a really nice swoosh noise whenever you let off when you're throttling. It sounds really good. Every once in a while I'll get some after fire because of the open ventilation on the bypass valve. And I've also noticed on the stage 2 tune, it tampers off at about 15 pounds, which is, you know, a lot for the stock turbo. Before, I think it was at like 12.5, I think is what it was tampering off at before the stage 2 tune. So a little bit extra boost there, and also you get like your big power band is between like 2,000 and 4,000 RPMs is what I've noticed on that tune. So basically from almost stop to about 4,000 RPMs is you're noticing a pretty big increase, or pretty big power band, which is pretty awesome. So I'll list all of the mods I have done in the description below, so you can definitely go check that out. And if you have any questions whatsoever about these, I'll be more than happy to answer all those questions for you. And so far I've been pretty happy. My next upgrade is probably going to be a bigger intercooler. Then after that, I'm probably going to be looking at, in the future, maybe not right now, but a little bit bigger turbo I'd like to do eventually. But I'd like to have my motor built and have all the supporting mods and suspension and whatnot. That way going into it, you know, I don't have any issues down the road. Do one more pull here real quick. Alright, so I'm on a side road here real quick, so I'm just going to do a quick launch just so you can kind of get a feel or see what it looks like when you do a full-on launch. So here we go. Alright guys, that's all I have for you. If you have any questions or anything whatsoever, make sure you leave a comment below. Thanks for watching.